Gracious Heavenly Father, I'd like to take this opportunity to approach the Lord's Throne with forth. As you help us say the right thing and do the right thing, to please in your name's sake. Guide and direct us in everything we say and do, Lord. Bless each home represented here. Forgive us our many sins. Watch over us, God, and keep us from evil. We ask you these things in your Son Jesus' precious holy name. Amen.
Amen.
What it is.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rochelle, do we have anyone signed to speak today?
No, sir.
Do we have our monthly report presented by Police Chief?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Alderman. This is the monthly report for the month of March from Police Department. We have reported 1 assault. We have reported 7 accident. We have 4 city ordinance violations, reported 3 criminal missions, 3 criminal trespass, 5 disturbances, 1 DWI. We conducted 3 follow-up investigations. We reported 1 harassment, 2 juvenile complaints. We had 26 miscellaneous calls, 1 public intoxication, 5 public service. We had a report of 2 suspicious persons, 2 suspicious vehicles, 4 suspicious persons. We had a report of 5 theft or recovered vehicles. We had 1 suicide attempt. We had multiple walk-ins at the police department. We executed 1 warrant, 12 welfare checks. We also conducted 93 traffic stops, issued 46 citations, and we had a total of 4 arrests for the month of March.
We have our monthly report presented by Code Enforcement.
Good evening, council. For the month of March, we had about 14 warnings for junk vehicles. Out of the 14, I had 5 removed from town by their owners. Still working on the other 9. I also gave out 2 warnings for high grass. Both were corrected, and signed 7 construction permits and 2 business permits.
We have a monthly report presented by Animal Control. Casey.
Council, Mayor. My monthly report for March. My facility started and ended at 40% capacity. I took 5 animals for the month. Set out 6 traps for the month. Had 15 animal complaints, 15 warnings given out to them. And I assisted the Boston Fire or EMS 5 times and did 4 motor assists, total of 50 calls served for the month.
Casey. We have our monthly report presented by Water and Sewer Supervisor. Jake.
Good evening, council, mayor. Our work order report for the month of March. We had 2 water leaks reported. We repaired 8 leaks. We had 2 sewer backups reported. Both of those were cleared. We had 6 turnoffs for non-payment, 27 rereads requested, 3 final readings for account closures, 4 miscellaneous requests, and 8 new services. Our production report, we pumped 13,083,200 gallons. We sold 6,500,900 gallons. We could account for 145,000 gallons due to flushing, accounted for 5,120,000 gallons due to leaks. The wastewater plant usage was 259,200 gallons. It gives us a total accounted for gallons, 12,025,100 gallons with a percent loss of 8%.
Thanks, sir. Okay. We have a motion to approve minutes of the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Anyone like to make a motion to approve our payment
everybody's good with the current bills.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Number 10, consider and take action on accepting the 2024-2025 audit conducted by David Goodwin, CPA.
You have something for him for us, sir?
Yeah. I'm gonna sit down for a minute if you guys don't mind.
That's fine.
I guess I should kind of start off a little bit. This is our first year performing the audit for the city. And I always like to kind of start this presentation by thanking you guys for what you do. If it wasn't for you guys volunteering your time for service, government doesn't really work. And so really appreciate you guys and what you do. With that as well, I know you helped a little bit with the audit, Mayor, and also Rochelle helped tremendously back here, along with numerous other staff. We asked for a lot of information. And so at the end of the audit, you guys get this little book, this little financial book, but really there's a lot that goes into it. It takes us a lot of time to process it. And honestly, overall, very pleased with the city, very pleased with the understanding of compliance that you guys have. That's actually pretty atypical for us. Typically, when we come in, you haven't had audits for years. It's a bit of a mess, honestly, to clean up, and you guys were not that case at all. You guys were in pretty good shape overall with compliance. Your financials, there were some kind of minor things that we had to go through. I'll talk about those just a little bit. But in the big scheme of things, you guys did very well when it came to audit, and then really the support services, we really appreciated. Really helped the staff and really helped the audit go pretty smooth, even though we had to skip a few years. So, any questions before I just jump in and kind of give you guys a little bit more detail?
None from me.
All right. Well, kind of the first thing that we do have to cover, we call this a governance letter. This is a required communication under standards, so I apologize, but every time you hear from me, you'll get this required communication. You guys do not have this letter in front of you. I give Rochelle a copy for the city side, and then I'll give this copy to the mayor after I kind of cover it with you. Essentially what it does is it covers any new accounting and audit standards that came out, which I know is super exciting. There were two that came out this last year that really impacted you guys. One is Statement 100, and it's accounting changes and error corrections. The second one is Statement 101, which is compensated absences. That was something that we did have to implement for you guys. Outside of that, this letter really covers estimates and things like that we take into consideration for you guys. So whenever we do like an allowance or an accounts receivable or an accounts payable, we really just kind of evaluate the historical transactions, what that looks like, and how it impacts you going forward. So just kind of a heads up, those things can fluctuate because they are estimates. We also talk about just difficulties encountered in performing the audit, dealing with management, as I kind of previously mentioned. We didn't really have any, which is great. That's what you want to hear, right? And we appreciate that once again. The other item that's in here is related to the audit adjustments that we have proposed. Most of those audit adjustments are really related towards, like I said, the year-end cutoff items. So accounts payable, accounts receivable, depreciation. You guys just don't really track that in your day-to-day. You guys are kind of quasi cash basis. When you look at kind of your daily things, when you look at your billings that you guys just approved, that's typically how cities operate. And so whenever we come in and do the audit, we look at a lot of the accruals. So your accounts receivable for property taxes, your accounts receivable for fines, and then we look at deferred revenues and things like that that are all kind of a little squirrely. And so we fix those things. Most of those are balance sheet transactions, so it doesn't necessarily impact your budget or your finances. And just to kind of let you know, we posted quite a few adjustments to your general fund, but the net effect was probably about $20,000. So it wasn't a huge impact, if that makes sense. But we had to post those things to correct your balance sheet because that was way out of whack. And those are things that the old auditor was probably also correcting as well, and just you've got lingering or stale balances. So if anybody printed you a balance sheet, it would look like, oh, we have this accounts receivable here, and 5 years later we still have the same accounts receivable. And so we've trued it up to what it actually is, and that's kind of typical through the audit process. We'll fix those every year. So, does that make sense? The largest adjustments though, kind of like I mentioned, were really those stale items. There were some erroneous transactions for interfund activity. You guys do a lot due froms, but really we're transferring that money. It's kind of interfund transfers when we're moving the cash around. So those stale balances, we clean those up as well. So you don't really have some of those erroneous transactions. Those are probably the big things outside of some of the capital asset stuff that we cleaned up. But what I would say is there was really nothing that was unusual that really stood out at me. And then there are, like I said, with the adjustments, we do attach those to the back of this. So if you guys do want to look at it, have it. If you guys don't have any questions on it, we do a mayor copy, and like I said, Rochelle also has a copy. They do. Any other fun questions? You guys are easy. I appreciate that. We are going to go through the book. I'm going to give you kind of a high level do that, but if you guys do have questions, I'm happy to talk about them in more detail. If you have questions after we kind of go through this too, you guys are welcome to reach out to us. We don't charge extra for that, so give us a call. Let us know. We'll answer those questions for you or point you in the right direction. So do be mindful of that. But with that, we'll kind of jump into this a little bit. No, it's probably been a while since you guys have actually gone through this with the auditor, so I'm really excited about it. This report too is going to be a little bit different, probably than ones you'll see in the future. And if you'll flip over to the first page on letterhead, so it's right past the table of contents. At the top, it's going to be on our letterhead up here, so just flip to that page. I'm gonna cheat. Make sure everybody's kind of on this page, on letterhead. So just the first page when you go past the table of contents. You're good.
Got it.
So I know you guys haven't been through this, so I'm gonna, like I said, kind of skip through it pretty quick, but I do want to make sure you guys are kind of on the same page with me as I go through it. So if I pause, that's for my benefit. I want to make sure that you guys kind of have a clear understanding of where I'm at and what I'm talking about, okay? So on this page at the top, this is our independent auditor's report. Essentially, this is where we give our opinion on your financial statements. At the top of this one, you're gonna see that second kind of bold line. It says unmodified and disclaimer of opinions. Essentially, what we have done for you guys is we have issued an unmodified opinion on your financial statements on the end of your financial statements. But if you read in there, we have also issued a disclaimer of opinion on your beginning balances, and that is because we're skipping several years of audits. We do some analytics, we do some due diligence to go back and make sure those are reasonable balances per se, but we don't go back and actually audit those balances. So if you look at kind of that disclaimer, it's the third paragraph down is where we kind of say that. But in the middle of the second paragraph, it says, since opening balances for accounts payable, accounts receivable, capital assets, depreciation, customer deposits, compensated absences, deferred inflows, and deferred outflows enter into the determination of cash flows, we were unable to determine whether any adjustments might have been necessary in respect of the net cash flows from operating activities reported in the proprietary fund cash flow statement. So that means basically the beginning balances we are not issuing an opinion on, or the cash flow statement, because the cash flow statement is a change statement, so it's a big flux analysis is really what it is. And so we've also disclaimed that opinion. So if that makes sense, you guys won't see that again if we're staying current with our audits. But I did want to just kind of point that out. The unmodified opinion is the fourth paragraph down, and it does say, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the city of Wascom, Texas as of March 31st, 2025. So that is essentially a clean audit opinion. That's what you want to have. Hopefully we can get rid of the disclaimer information in the future. Any questions? It's kind of a mouthful just covering the opinion. The next thing, I do want to flip over, just one page over, and down at the bottom you're going to start seeing some bullet points. We talk about what the auditor's responsibility is when it comes to financial So I like to point this section out to you guys. So it's, like I said, it's just over one page and kind of down at the bottom. And my favorite one right there is exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism. As much as we like you guys, we have this auditor credo, in God we trust, all others we audit. So just be mindful of that. We're always looking at things as we go through the audit process. A lot of times people always ask, well, you're paying the auditor, of course they're gonna tell you good things. That's not always the case. We don't necessarily get paid to be nice, and we get audited so that we can do your audit. So there's a lot of things that happen in the background in order for us to give you this type of report, this type of financial statement, and then also issue this type of opinion to you guys. Does that make sense? So you guys are just, like I said, getting the fancy book at the end, right? So. All right. I'll quit talking about the opinion for a little bit. I'm gonna kind of cheat and jump you to the back of the audit. So very last page. Jump back there. You'll also see this is a letter on the very back. It's on our letterhead again. Here we go. So if you look at the title underneath the letterhead, it's the Independent Auditor's Report on Internal Control over Financial Reporting on Compliance and Other Matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. So that's the title. Essentially what this letter is where if we did have issues, remember I just kind of mentioned that due to the skepticism, we would report that to you guys. This is the part of the letter where we look at your internal control framework, how cash is flowing through the entity, how just different things are happening, how we're reading water meters, how that billing process works. We look at all those things as part of your internal control framework for the city, and then how that impacts the financial statements. So we do a lot of due diligence trying to understand the operations of the city so that we can come in and then issue our opinion on the financial statements. This is where we tell you how our operations are doing, essentially. And we call them internal controls in the audit world. But essentially, if we do have an observation, we have kind of 3 levels that we talk about. One's a deficiency in internal control, which is kind of our lowest level. The mid-tier level, we call it a significant deficiency. And then the highest level is called material weakness. What we can say when we issue this is that we did not identify any material weaknesses as part of our audit process. Does that make sense? Perfect. All right, I'm gonna quit skipping around that stuff and actually give you guys a little bit more of the meat. Let's go back to page 20. So I like to kind of jump you guys around a little bit. So page 20, this is Exhibit 1. This is a statement of net position. This was as of March 31st, 2025. Keep in mind we're in April of 2026, so this was a year ago. So essentially what this audit is doing is catching us up to date. But the things I do want to kind of point out here, just on the top row, is your cash and cash equivalents. So what you see across the top row right there is really the city's total. So that right-hand column is $4,658,419. Really, that's a quite significant cash position to be in. That's what we like to see, you know, is to have excess cash available. When you think about your cash position, a lot of people always ask, well, do we have enough here? What does that mean to us? Because if you look at it just by itself, it doesn't really mean anything, right? So we really have to kind of go down the page to the liability section. So the liability section is about mid-tier down. What you're gonna see down here in the liability section is kind of 3 areas. One's your accounts payable and accrued liabilities, and the next section is really your long-term liabilities. So these are any debt that you guys have floating. So it's gonna be notes, bonds, those types of things that we have floating. Keep in mind, this is a full accrual financial statement. So your accounts payable and accrued liabilities, you're sitting about $159,000, and your long-term liabilities due within 1 year is $234,000. So you're looking about $380,000 that we have due coming during the year. So typically those two items don't really change a whole lot unless we pay off a bond or we pay off a note. But guess what? Usually when we, get a new note or we pay off a note for a car, we need a new one because that one's wore out. So a lot of times these are pretty much kind of staying in the same range. We don't see these fluctuate a whole lot. So we'll monitor this as part of the audit process to see kind of what's the change look like, how is this working, what are our financials kind of really doing. And hopefully in the future, we'll start having some conversations with council to really talk about your financials. What does that look like? What does your budget process look like? What are our goals for the city? Those types of things, and we can sit down and do some financial analysis and give it to you guys, so that when you guys are going through your regular meetings, you guys can have that type of insight. Does that make sense? So, we didn't quite go that far with the audit this year, kind of let you guys off the hook a little bit, but in the future, we'll probably plan to have conversations with council as we go through the audit process, just so we can have some of these discussions and look at the historical numbers. Now that they've been audited, we know they're good numbers, so we can have those discussions. Does that make sense? Awesome. The last thing I do want to kind of point out to you guys is down at the bottom, it's the second from the bottom line item. It is your unrestricted net position. It's 3.6 million is where it's sitting. These are typically what we have available to fund the city and future assets. We talk about growth and things like that. It's really where our assets exceed our liabilities in big scheme of things. So it just kind of shows us the health of the city. So when those things are positive, that's a good thing. You guys are in a positive. So it's just giving us good information about the city. So, any questions on that? Did it make sense?
It did make sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're winning.
Yes. Yes.
Notice a red number right beside it, another column that's just through the business, normal business.
You are correct. So what's fun about government accounting is sometimes, one fund does better than the other. And so sometimes, one fund can be in a hole, essentially between your general fund and then your, business type activities. What we have to look at when we look at this is that this is on a full accrual method. And so one of the things that really impacts you guys is gonna be your OPEB, your pension, your TMRS type plan.
Yeah.
And so really when you guys sit down, you've got a $800,000 liability. So even though it looks like it's negative here,
Yeah.
well, guess what? We're not paying $800,000 out on that liability. And that's almost split 50-50 between your funds. So if you were to take that out, you really wouldn't be in a negative position. That's a great question. So I'm glad you noticed. So typically you wouldn't be in a negative position there, but because of that, that's really what's kind of throwing you in that position. So I'm not concerned about that right now.
All right.
So, but good question. Very good question. Any other questions? Awesome. Well, let's skip over one more page. So this is gonna be page 21. This financial statement sideways. So, only way to fit it on the page because it's such a fun presentation that they put for us. Really what I just wanna kind of point out and kind of Teal's point, over on the right-hand side, if you look 3 items up from the bottom, that row is called change in that position. It's 1.2 million for the city. If you look at the governmental activities, it's about 1.1, and then the business type, we're still at 65,000. And that's essentially your net income for the city. So in the big scheme of things, like you said, you guys are winning. That is positive net income for the city. And that's really all I was gonna point out on this financial statement for this year, is that's what you guys wanna know, is we're have a positive income, right? That's what we wanted to hear, what we would like to see. That can change through the years, but very happy about that. So pages 24 through 26, and I'll start on page 24, and I really won't cover it in as much detail. Essentially, this is your balance sheet, and it says just for the governmental funds. This is how we keep our QuickBooks file. We call it modified accrual in our world, but it's kind of a quasi-cash basis is really what it is. It's just a little bit different presentation, because in your general fund activities, the police department buys a police car, we expense it off. We don't really have a fixed asset. And there's several other things that kind of go into that. So if you look at page 25, it kind of talks about the differences. I'm not really gonna go into detail on those, but I just want you guys to understand that there is a couple different pairs of financial statements that get prepared for the city, and there are different methods of accounting. One is full accrual, the other one's modified accrual. And so, as you start looking through your financial statements, you may notice there's some differences. And specifically, I just wanted to point out that the differences are on page 25. That's kind of the reconciliation between the modified accrual and the full accrual. So, makes for a fun time. We spend more time with Rochelle explaining that, and so I know she appreciates it. Any questions? All right. And I do want to skip you over just real quick to page 28. So page 28, this is just the proprietary fund by itself. The proprietary fund, because of its nature, is always kept on full accrual. And so the one thing I did just want to point out, and you guys probably already aware of this, is a proprietary fund. It is in a pretty weak cash position just by itself. So if you look at the top, it's got about $22,000 in unrestricted cash that it can spend. Down in the next section at the top of the non-current assets, there is restricted cash there, but that's gonna make up a lot of your customer deposits and things. And so we don't really spend that money on operations. So when it really comes to the proprietary fund, a lot of that funding that you guys are gonna have here, we're either gonna transfer it from the general fund, which, you know, the general fund is our, our property taxes, our sales taxes, our franchise fees, our municipal court fines, those types of things will end up supporting some of those activities. And that's okay. It does happen sometimes. But if you have a major project, in the water sewer fund, you guys are gonna end up having to issue a bond or take out some sort of debt in order to finance that project, because we don't really have the cash balance in that fund. Does that make sense? So just want you guys to kind of be aware of that. Any questions? Talked a lot. I apologize for talking a whole bunch. I did want to just cover one last area for you guys, and then I'll take my leave, I should say, but it's page 63. So page 63 is actually the general fund budget versus actual, is essentially what this is. Give you guys just a moment to flip over. We do call this statement a required supplementary information as part of your financial report. So this financial statement is a required item for us to present. It's part of the financial package. What I think is interesting when you look at this, you always go back and we kind of analyze your budget. You guys weren't really having a lot of budget guidance, so you were taking your budget and kind of putting it together. Best guess scenario, looking at historicals, how are we performing? You guys did really well with that, to be honest with you. When you start looking, you guys adopted a balanced budget. Our revenues matched our expenditures. Sometimes when we come in, the budgets don't always balance. I will tell you guys, one of the things that you can do to balance your budget is actually use fund balances that are there. So cash we earned in previous periods are part of our fund balance. So we don't always have to match our revenues to expenditures, we just have to match our budget and make it balance. So as y'all have more discussion about that, or y'all have questions, let us know. And the reason why I'm kind of pointing that out, because if you look at your charges for service column up in the revenue section, we put $683,000 in that charges for service. That was way over what we actually brought in. We brought in about 82,000, and when you kind of look at it and even look at kind of some of the history, that looked like the area where you guys used to kind of help true up your budget items. And I'm not saying that's how we did it, but that's how it looks like whenever we kind of did our analysis and looked in the background. As we're looking at the budget, just be mindful of that. In the revenue process up there at the top too, you'll see the sales tax. We actually brought in way more than budgeted. Looked like something major kind of happened that year. We went out to the state comptroller and got that information from them. So that's probably not gonna be as high in the future, and I'm sure you guys have already noticed that moving forward. When you look down at the expenditure section, the only area where we had really an unfavorable variance, which is over on that right-hand side, is in the sanitation, and it was really only over about $3,000. So nothing really too concerning there in the big scheme of things. But let's see here, if there was anything else I wanted to tell you about your budget and actual. I don't think so. I think like I said, in the big scheme of things, I think you guys, did a really good job taking that budget, working with that budget and making it happen, without a lot of guidance from anyone outside. So once again, you guys have great understanding of the compliance aspects of how finances work, of how things are supposed to be working outside the city. We're very pleased, with the audit, outcome of the audit, even putting the finances together, the analysis of things that we were doing. There wasn't anything that just jumped out and gave us any concern at all. So with that, I appreciate your time, your attention. Any other questions?
None from me. Thank you for coming and presenting.
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Not to hand it back, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Are you gonna stick around for the rest of the meeting? or-
I'm been here.
Okay. Tell you, there's a traffic jam on I-20 right now.
Yeah, I saw it coming in, that's why.
Alright, moving on.
We need a motion to accept the audit, please.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the audit as David has presented?
Make a motion to accept the audit as David presented.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on resolution 415, submitting a grant to the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority for 2026 Auto Theft Task Force Grant Program. Amended to say, consider and take action on resolution 415, submitting a grant to the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority for the 2027 Catalytic Converter Theft Prevention Grant Program. Chief, would you like to elaborate on resolution 415?
Yes, this is a required document in order for, City of Washington to apply for a grant through this, program, in this grant program, in order to continue, once the implementation of the license plate reader, automatic license plate reader, this is a grant to continue the subscription fees for those license plate readers. And so in order to apply for this grant and be eligible for this grant, a resolution is required to be passed by the city council.
Okay, very good. Do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the, let me get the right one. Make a motion to approve resolution 415, submitting a grant, the Motor Vehicle Crime Prevention Authority for the 2027 Catalytic Converter Theft Prevention Grant Program.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on resolution 416, entering into the multiple use agreement with Texas Department of Transportation for the installation and operation of the automated license plate recognition cameras. Chief, is there anything else we need to know about that one? It's pretty self-explanatory. We need their state's approval to place cameras, right?
Yeah, since the cameras are designated spots on the city, state right of way, we have to have this in order for them to approve it.
Okay, very good.
Make a motion to approve resolution 416, entering into a multiple use agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the installation and operation of automated license plate recognition cameras.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on the current water and sewer rates. You'll see the table in front of you. This is, as we discussed, small rate increase we need to have, for our water and sewer rates. We haven't raised these rates since 2018, and all of our costs have gone up, so trying to work on the deficit here, so. If y'all review and have any questions for us.
2018, that's a long time ago.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
I'm ready now, so letting y'all take a look. You make a motion if you'd like.
I'll make a motion, we approve the rate increase.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, consider and take action on approving the investment report for quarter ending 3/31/26. We discussed the typo that we found on here, for line number 2. That certificate deposit for water and sewer, so we've all made that correction.
I make a motion, we approve the investment report for the quarter ending 3/31/2026.
I second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on renewing water and sewer CD on a 3-month special with a 3.8% interest rate, account number 3238136.
Make a motion to approve the CD for the water and sewer account, 32838136.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on entering into the contract with Taylor and Associates for administrative services associated with the city's FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, contract number 4705-0024. Michelle, would you like to elaborate on this one?
So this is the hazard mitigation, grant that we have officially been told we are awarded. It is for the portable generators in case of, like when the June storm in 2023 came in. It is for portable generators for like pumping down our lift stations, operating our wells, things like that, where we might have a problem. When the storm came through in 2023, the city of Beckville was very gracious and let us borrow their portable generator so that the city still had operating facilities through as a whole. So this will help eliminate this issue. It is a very large grant, and Traylor and Associates is our grant writers, and because of them, we're able to, they found it for us and move forward with it.
I make a motion, we enter into a contract with Taylor and Associates for administrative services associated with the city's FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program contract number 4705-0024.
I second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action to adopt resolution 417, adopting procurement policies and procedures for federal grants, projects, and awards. Michelle, would you like to elaborate on this one?
This is just that we will take the money that we receive from the hazard mitigation grant and use it as we agree to. We just have to adopt the policy and procedure to the procurement process of it.
Very good.
motion we adopt resolution 417, adopting procurement policies and procedures for federal grant projects and awards.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Consider and take action on changing the current Wascom animal control rates. Got the rates in front of us here, current proposed fees. We have any questions on these? It's just, adding a few different levels of billables, trying to keep, animals from running wild. Would you like to elaborate on any of that? You don't have to if you want. That's self-explanatory.
Yeah, basically what this is that, as you can see on part is, we only have 2 service charge, and that's, well below what the normal, fees are for cities. And several of the, service that we provide, there's no fee to it, attached to it. This kind of brings us in line with current cities and what they cost, cause, everything, dog food, everything, service, buying equipment and stuff goes up. And we don't charge anything for that. This is a standard, proposed fee, and I think that it also will help with the fee, with the, number of offenses. Cause a lot of animals that we do capture are repeat offenders, and right now, it's just not working, so this will kinda hurt, honestly, kinda, encourage them to be a little bit more responsible by every time we capture, the fees go up, and, kinda help us out with it.
Absolutely.
I make a motion we change the current Wascom animal control rates to the new proposed fees.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, consider and take action on amending ordinance number 15, regulating noise and disturbances of peace within city limits.
You've been on the book for a while.
It was number 15, yeah.
Yeah.
Way down the list. It was very, very short. So this just outlined a lot of different things, types of violations and distances and decibels and things of that nature, so, quiet streets are happy streets, so if we, Chief, you wanna add anything to here?
I know, I think we had the discussion before, and, I think we, a section was added that most of y'all was concerned about. And I think that's fair and, impartial to business and citizens.
Very good.
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 15 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Rochelle, will this still be 15, or will it go back up the list to whatever
It'll
hundred
still
we're
be
on?
ordinance 15, it's just amended.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Discuss updates concerning the library. We have a construction project going on.
Going good, isn't it? Got the roof on and everything?
We have a building, we have a roof, brick is coming, the parking lot is scheduled, interior.
The
I'm
wiring
doing
is,
something, the wiring.
and the ductwork was going up today.
Did we get the internet wiring done through Eastex?
Sure. There was just a lot of wires ran everywhere, so I'm gonna assume so.
Maybe we can follow up with,
Dane said he would take care of it.
okay, we'll tell Dane that they're probably getting ready to sheet rock pretty soon, so make sure we get that squared away. Any other topics? We got any more grants coming or donations or anything like that?
I'm waiting to hear from the Lions Club.
Okay.
Now they've submitted their grant.
Okay, very
And,
good.
I'm selling the furniture in the library, the old furniture, trying to make some extra funds.
Okay.
We're going through the old books, make sure everything's up to date.
Very good.
And, the Chamber of Commerce had the milk coffee for, I think we raised $3,058 and some change.
Very good. That's great. Take every penny we can get. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everyone.